Vanquish facing off against Fire and Ice. Blaze, how do you think it's going to go?
Oh man, this is a crazy one, you guys. This is a hard one to kind of tell on which side is going to fall on. The last time both these squads lost was on March 3rd. VQ lost to E United and Fire and Ice lost to Noble. Ever since then, they've been on a 4-game win streak. Now, on the side of Fire and Ice is PK Rebel, Rated R, and E United are their last 4 wins. Now, on the side of VQ, it's going to be Rated R, Elevate, Rise, and Oxygen. So, looking at those last 4 games, I think Fire and Ice have had the hardest schedule out the last 4. But regardless, one of them got to lose today, and that streak's coming to a close at the back end of our season. This is a matchup for placing. Both teams are 7-2. If VQ can win this series, they'll move up in the placings over Fire and Ice.
Absolutely, but it is going to be tough. It's going to be tough either which way, man. And this was another one prediction-wise that was so hard for me to decide who I wanted to go with. But there is one key player as to what made that decision very difficult, and that is Vital Sal, man. He is just... he does it all right? He's got a 1.76 KDA, negative 39 plus or minus. But the big thing to look at is that true engagement success being at 63.78%. 63.78% of the time, Blaze, you get into an engagement with him, he's either going to down you, he's going to finish you off, right? He's going to have an impact in that fight.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Sam is a player that I expect to have double-digit assists, so I like to see that there with him. Now, he got a lot of players on his team that picks up double kills and they slay out on the front lines. When you got players like Hndles, Acells, and Reptilian, there might not be a lot of kills left out for you there on the front lines, but you want to do your best as a support player to be involved in all of those kills on the map and anchoring for your team in key positions, locking it down. And that's something that he does very well, helping his team succeed. And I'm going to be paying close attention to the plays in which he's making tonight. Because, it's not going to be an easy battle against this fast-paced Fire and Ice team because they have been more hot than cold lately.
Yeah, 100% have. And, this is a team that came out of the Pro League qualifiers alongside that of Hive and Rated R. And, man, they have been looking unstoppable since then. Of course, they've had their shakeups. You just brought that up with some of the losses they've had. But for the past several weeks, they've been looking solid. And like you mentioned, both teams tied up in the overall records and the standings. And whoever wins this is going to end up ahead and gets them a better seeding heading into the mid-split playoffs. But let's get a little bit deeper in this matchup and talk about the pick and ban, see what maps we're rolling with. District, Vasgar, and Training Grounds. This makes me excited. I'm looking at the first 2 maps and thinking to myself, man, both teams are very well versed on District and Vasgar, and that makes the series a toss-up even more so than it was before. And then to go into Training Grounds to tie it all up, Fire and Ice is a great Training Grounds team without question. VQ, though, they're no slouches either, but those first 2 maps for me, man, they can go either way.
They really can, and I think both squads got rid of either their opponent's best map or their worst map in the first set of bans. And with Asylum and Foundation being staples that's out the door, when it comes down to this 3-game cycle, oh man, this can go by way of 2 of either of these squads. I think all 3 maps favor them very well.
I agree.
I honestly can't think of any weaknesses that I can pinpoint as far as play style and rotations when it comes down to these 3. It honestly just comes down to who is the better team today, because these 3 maps are great for both of them. And it's going to start on District. So start on District, man. F&I, we've seen Fire and Ice obliterate teams on District 5-0, 5-1. It happens so fast, you blink and you miss it. Okay? We've also seen this VQ squad on District as well, be able to just shut their opponent down. It's
I don't know either.
We just gotta get into it.
Honestly, that's the way to look. You just got to get into it, man. Because I genuinely have no idea. Like, it's just you have 2 teams that, in my opinion, have very similar play styles. They're incredibly aggressive, slay heavy teams. They love to get in your face, and that's going to be lead to a lot of excitement. But it's a lot easier to say, like, okay, for Noble and Hive to break that down. The sword and the shield. We've kind of played that over and over and over again. But for VQ and F&I, man, it's it's so back and forth into let's just get into predictions, man. Let's just go and cut to it. You know, if I had to go with the team, which again was very, very difficult for me to do, I had to go with FNI. You know, FNI for me is a team that just continually impresses me. And in a way, I cringe saying that because I already know if VQ wins this series, Blaze, I'm going to get tweets from them saying, man, why do you keep sleeping on us? And they're going to let me know, like, hey, man, stop betting against us. But I have to go with FNI. They have been looking unstoppable. And let's not forget them beating Pittsburgh Knights. Are you kidding me? That was amazing. That, to me, gives them the added edge. Blaze, who are you going with?
So as we approach the back end of this Pro League, there are some teams that I'm expecting to step up their performance and start peaking around this time. VQ is one of those squads. Now, over these last few weeks, we've already seen we've seen FNI at the top of their game, winning emergence days. They've been undefeated. Sure. They took down their biggest rivals in the Knights. They look good, but I think this is one of those weeks as we get closer to the playoffs where I cannot bet against Vanquish. I think Vanquish is going to come out here and they're going to win this series. They're going to show us why they're the defending champions. Yeah, Fire Knights, they've been a damn good team as of late, but VQ as a 4-man unit still has one of the most perfectly well-rounded teams that we have in the league. And I think this week we're going to see them at full force, and they're going to prove that against Fire and Ice.
Fair enough. So we do differ finally, Blaze, right? We've been on the same track for a while, even last couple broadcasts, but now me and you are going head-to-head and just became personal, brother. I'm just going to throw it out there, all right? Chat, though,
Hey, it's going to come out in our cast. It's going to come out in our cast, okay?
It absolutely is. And then I know it's going to come out of VQ wins. You're going to throw in those sly remarks. I already know it. But Chad, it doesn't have to be personal between us. It doesn't have to be personal between us. Who are you going with? Who are you going with, man? Are you going with... Come on, you got to back up Latin America.
Yo, this poll is always a close poll, okay? So we got to let these results lock in. It's a lot of channel points going every which way.
A lot.
No, I don't have channel points no more because I bet 100,000.
I was just about to ask.
Aquí Vamos on Sleeper, Chaos, Crystallize, and Altons. I bet 100K on them. But
they're not even in relegation either.
I lost it in a round 9 map number 3. You know, so hey, it is what it is. You know, sometimes your picks don't fall. But when it comes down for the chat in this series,
who they go with, man?
If I had to guess, they're gonna go FNI. But chat, you guys are the smartest people here. What is it?
Yes, F&I. Sir. Hey, Blaze, I hate to say it, chat was leading the way. All right, you're different.
Yeah,
you're built different, brother.
Hey,
and this is the thing, though.
You telling me I can beat chat twice in one day and tie up with you?
You absolutely can. This is it. This is it. And the next series might be different too, but we'll get to that when we get to it, right? But like I said, man, it just became a little personal, Blaze. Me and you were a bit different. You're also different from chat. Hey, chat, I got your back. I know I said last time I don't even care. I want to beat you guys right now. We're seeing eye to eye. Series is going to be underway shortly. Time torching us currently is Toti himself, Big Toto. Hopefully he'll be joining up relatively soon. And
he needs to find his way home.
He does need to find. Yeah, see, I always went with the Plains of Africa. You know that one song, man? It was written by Toto, I think their band was. But you're going with the Lost Dog, which in this case works much better than my reference.
You act like I'm going with any stray dog, okay? I'm going with the most famous dog named Toto in all of media, okay?
I've never seen the movie.
I don't know what. Whoa! I don't know what band you're talking about, but as far as
Reigns of Africa, you've heard that song.
No, I have not. Calm down. As far as the Wizard of Oz goes, In the Oz.
Oh, it's the Wizard of Oz. I'm so
both of those two movies are widely seen across the world.
Okay, you're right. All right,
but you have not seen them.
No, I've seen Wizard of Oz.
Aren't you from Kansas?
No, I'm not from Kansas, man. Why does everybody?
Me?
I'm not going to say where I'm at, man. But everybody, why does the whole talent team forget where we're located? Blows my mind.
Where you're located. I was being funny, but you're close enough.
Fair
Kansas.
Enough. Fair. Oh, well, I'm close enough to Kansas. I know the movie Wizard of Oz, brother, but I forgot who Toto was. I'm thinking about the band Reigns in Africa. You're out of your mind for not knowing that. I'm going to send it to you as soon as I get a chance, man. But like I said, Toto's still lost. hopefully he'll be found and he'll turn into Toti, and we'll be ready to start up this match, man, because
he's been lost for 2-3 weeks, okay? Like, if you want to talk about it, since we got the gamer tag changed now, granted, I haven't, slid in his DMs and say, hey, yo, Toti, Toto, respectfully. What's up with the gamer tag change,
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't.
Is next week going to be Tota or Totu? Who knows?
Why can't it just be Toti?
Like use every vowel.
With the OG. I don't know, man. Blaze, hey, you've been in this world a lot longer than me, man, and I'm hoping you have an answer, but you don't even have an answer. So it is what it is. Hey,
it's got to be an inside joke that we don't know about. Okay.
He's officially in the lobby, Blaze, which means we'll be starting up shortly. Hey, man, fair enough. You're going with VQ. Hey, by the way, I did say F&I, obviously got an impressive victory over PK, which they did. But VQ, let's not forget, did beat PK in week number 1. But I go back to the argument that I've consistently had. Like, PK wasn't the PK that they are now. Like, I genuinely feel they have improved so incredibly much from week 1 to now, heading in or being in week number 5. So, for me, the victory that F&I just recently got last week over Pittsburgh Knights weighs a lot more heavier to me than VQ beating PK in week number 1. And that was a large factor as to why I decided to go with Fire and Ice, because to me, even though PK does drop down to 2nd place behind that of Noble, I still view Pittsburgh Knights as the top team, if not one of the top teams, if not the top team in the upper echelon to win mid-split playoffs. And honestly, to be in contention to win Pro League as a whole, maybe even the next major. So for me, Fire and Ice is that team. They got some young players, but man, they are just so talented. Finally, we are getting it started, Blaze. I cannot wait. Let's call the action.
All right, let's call the action here. We're seeing a difference in strategy here from both these squads, but I will say this: when it comes down to the Swarm team, which is currently Fire and Ice, sending more players down low to Bandstand versus mid-map to start is the play, because you lock in Bandstand, you're going to get yourself mid-map control, and on that side of the map, you have that right-hand advantage to get just that. But after acquiring this position, we got to see what they want to do with it, because they're pretty much on like their opponent's 40-yard line in football terms. They're like well over the 50 with player 9 and player 6 pushed across, but the defense is still strong for Vanquish. They have angles on the B hill, which we're about to see some of those angles. The early pre-fire is there from Toto to stop the guy from window and crossing, and that was enough damage there and enough pressure to get the B hill locked in. But VQ wasting no time whatsoever, extending from home hill to home hill. Well, after throwing their flashes, they got to spring into action now, because they're not going to get another set of flashes unless they die.
Absolutely. Well, Fire Knight's looking solid. Big 1v2, though, taking place on Bravo. Xploids to push in on a Vital and Hndles. And I want to talk about that 1v2. Man, look at that. Precision now. Left's last one standing. Gets the... doesn't get the full break. Fearzly effectively backs him off. And Fire Knights continues to gather those points, take the lead, and now it's a 1v2 flipped on its head. Precision will drop off, but on the other side, it looks as if finally VQ is starting to get Fire and Ice out of their... well, actually dominating their spawn, if you will. But this point lead, it's gathering it even more so for F&I, and this has become very messy at this point. Oh, my Vital Sam living... My guy, I'm telling you, he's feeling himself.
Well, him and Hndles, man, they chased down a kill, and they knew that all 4 players were spawned up, so it can only be 1 player to contest them, and they got that kill as well. But unfortunately for them, Dyslexic came back towards the spawn to help his teammates get out. And as we approach this halfway point of the series, you're going to see that it is Fire and Ice with the lead off of 2. They don't have to play too aggressive. They just need to be the defensive squad. But with the B hill getting captured, they need to defend the info, because it's going to be a push for VQ to get to this home hill as soon as possible. And they got 14 seconds to do so.
Not a lot of time indeed. As you just mentioned, parking the bus is F&I. Precision looking to open up that door. Doesn't happen. Hndles now. Big fight. 1v2. He's weak, and he is out of there. F&I takes round number 1. And they looked good doing it. Big 1-0 lead. And VQ now back to the drawing board to figure out what they're going to be doing in round number 2. But man, again, I go back to that aggression, brother. Vital Sam and his teammate pushing literally into the spot. Watching a member from F&I respawn directly in front. It's a rare sight. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, you don't see it too often. And honestly, it may have worked out for them But you know, whoever was responsible for dyslexic in that moment, as soon as you know they identified that he broke away from the fight at B, that was a good opportunity for VQ to get back to that B hill and get themselves another advantage. But those rotations just didn't happen fast enough, and it was Fire and Ice who were quicker in round number 1. Now we are going to see both teams to kind of start in a canal spawn, send 2 players down low, and it's going to be matched on the other end by F&I. So F&I not scared to fight at the bandstand to kick this round off, but it's Acells who is setting the pace. Quick turnaround there from Xploids to get the kill, possibly save his teammate. Oh, Hndles misses the key shot that he needed.
Wow.
And both members of Fire and Ice will survive, but Vital, our player to look out for in this series, man, he wins a 1v1 in the middle, but as far as the trip cap domination coming through, it's going to be Xploids in Fearzly not dying in that round, winning big kills down low at the bandstand to lock this round in for Fire and Ice.
Blaze, you did point out, during our conversation before we ended up starting this first map here on District of the dominant wins, right, that you've witnessed F&I get throughout Pro League when it comes to District. 5-0s, 5-1s, and it can be exemplified here in the performance. Big 2-0 lead so far, and that puts VQ in an interesting spot, right? Do they want to place down a power weapon, right? Do they want to change up the fight? Because let's say they do go down 3-0, man, you got to make some tough decisions, and you have to start changing something up, because the fight, if you continue to upgrade your talents to shocks and then the retros and put down a hammer burst, right, the fight's not going to change. And clearly Fire and Ice has a good angle and a good line of attack so far in the previous 2 rounds. But we'll see after this round what VQ decides to do. After all, they can win it, bring it up 1-2, but F&I has been looking quite unstoppable. And it looks as if now for those 2 players of Fire and Ice, I believe that's going to be Fearzly and Xploids, they're going to be on that bottom line section, maybe looking to pressure in onto player 4 of Hndles, or maybe push into Green Juice, right? Put the pressure on Acells and his teammates, who's going to be Precision. Either way, the doors are open. Let's see where they decide to go.
VQ setup is playing off the attempt that Fire and Ice is going to be making on the B hill soon to get it captured. So we'll see if they can successfully defend against it, but that's what their main focus is currently in this moment. Now, F&I is going to be trying to focus fire, get some initial damage on players like Vital here to find ways to be able to move up, but by them backing Vital up, they know that they can get enough time for a possible capture or decapture. They just need to focus this player that's in the corner of Juice being Acells. So he's about to get a lot of focus fire from player 7 and player 9 for Fire and Ice to be able to hop onto this B hill. But we'll see when that happens. Relatively a tight game, and as we know, COG has the advantage. So they don't have much to do, but F&I, they're talking about it. At some point, they are going to have to make a move, because VQ does not have to do that. They are the defensive team here.
You said defensive team. No reason to push up just yet. Man, it's crazy to know how quick those first 2 rounds went, and to now to see the polar opposite in round number 3 with how passive both teams are being. I know Fire and Ice is hungry to push in, but VQ is doing a great job just holding down their angles, right? They're not getting overzealous. As you mentioned, VQ doesn't have to push in, so this standoff can last for quite some time. But the longer that we continue to accumulate those points for both ends, that makes this first initial push, this first initial, battle for control that much more important. And whoever loses it is going to be at a big disadvantage and be forced to make some serious decisions that could dictate the round. But for Fearzly, he's finally making a break for it. F&I looking to push in on these VQ boys.
Well tossed nades, quick aggression for F&I, but it was enough to get the B hill. They don't commit, they back up, they all stay alive. Flash is going to be rebutted there by VQ. They're going to toss their own. But as they spread out here towards the mid portions of the map, F&I, they've been waiting for them like sharks out here in the water. They're like, hey, man, when you want to come to the deep end, let us know, because they are going to be currently winning this fight here. F&I, they had a great win condition to kind of get that domination just now, but they have an even better one with 2 hills to their name, and we're past the 200 mark. We'll see if Fire and Ice can get a 3-0 lead here. I will like to say that Acells did a good job decapping C hill, but VQ needs to get the B hill here in the late game. Also, Acells and Vital, they need to hold off from this push from F&I off the respawn.
Going to be a 2v2 for Charlie, and like you said, B also needs to be decapped. That's going to be there, so big fight for Fearzly. Tries to take down Acells. Acells going to drop off. So does Fearzly. Where's the help? Player 6 needs to get there. Xploids going to go for the pickup. The break is in. Fire and Ice no longer gathering any points. You also have the 1v2 that's taking place over on Bravo, and that's going to be Toti looking to pull off some big moves. But either way, Fire and Ice just needs one hill. It looks like they're 3 strong now. They're going to be pushing in. And mind you, Toti is also holding his own. He takes down player number 4 over on Bravo, and he can also win that 1v1 versus the player. Oh, and he doesn't. So now it comes down to the break. C is going to be locked in place. Fire and Ice is going to be locking in 15 seconds, and Fire and Ice will take the win.
Yeah, and nobody's going to be able to decap C in time. It was a great effort, and honestly, if maybe player 4 doesn't go down up top, they get an opportunity, but F&I waited to the very last moment there, where they knew that they had a 3v2 advantage on top of their home hill, and they took the fight. They won it, and so that was a good job for them. That was where VQ had to clutch up. If they could have got first blood in that fight and kept that hill neutral, they may have an opportunity. Also,
Absolutely.
too, if they capped their home hill early on, they probably had a chance to win the round as well. So the home hill not being captured, but sometimes you don't cap it because you feel the pressure of you having to make that perfect play at the end of the round. And in order to do that, you sacrifice the time of capturing your home hill so you can possibly get that back in the fight at your opponent's side of the map.
And you have to assume as well that you're going to lose one player going for that attempt, right, to try and flip the script. So that one player that you lose should theoretically be coming off the respawn, and he'll be the one capturing your home hill, right? So you have to commit everything to get your opponent's home hill in that point. VQ did it correctly. It's just Fire and Ice was able to execute and play that good defensive role and eventually retake control for themselves. So well done from them. They have the 3-0 lead. Now it's about holding on to it. And no power weapon yet, so we're going to get those retros, more firepower, and through bandstand we go. And that's going to be a big trade. Puts Fearzly now in a tough spot. He's about to be sandwiched between 2 players from VQ, and that's going to be a good angle from Vital Sam to take him out. Even so, though, Fire and Ice gets their hands first on the neutral, so VQ, they're going to send Hndles over, get that 2-1 hill advantage, but he's going to be in a 1v1 shortly, and he can't get the full cap either.
No, he cannot. And, you know, looking at the advantages that is on the map, the home hills haven't been able to get captured, but if VQ can get this rotation towards B and get locked in early, you know, I can kind of credit them for winning the initial, but to me, it's kind of anybody's game so far, and that's a big kill for them to get. They're going to have 2 players here for the revives. Handle trades, and that was such an important trade for VQ to be able to freely capture this hill, start to pull away with one of the first leads of the game. And to me, Fire and Ice is currently playing to their pace, and they're doing a good job keeping up with them, but VQ is slowly starting to solidify control into this round. Yeah, with Sam locking in this position right here, they're going to be exactly where they want to. But Taylor, we see VQ's playing for more in this moment.
They are, well, they can afford to, because Dyslexic put himself out of positioning. He ended up pushing forward. I felt he should have definitely waited in that spot. Fearzly, though, could change it, and he does. That was a big 2-piece to lock in Green Juice. Now he's going to get picked back up, and Fire and Ice, maybe now, oh no, Precision is there, but Xploids picks it up once again. B is wide open. He's going to get the decap, should be able to get the full cap before player 3 gets to that neutral position. And Dyslexic now, he might be able to open up a door to get on Charlie as well. So does the win condition flip over? Well, we don't know yet. Player 6 was actually having to back off again because player 3, Acells, was able to get to the neutral. He's able to Lancer out. Xploids couldn't stick it. He knew he'd be throwing his life away. So the scoreline still very close. VQ leading the way. Fire and Ice some more work to do, but they have that positioning to do so.
You know, I thought that was a bad push for VQ, but they quickly get back into position. Acells knew where he needed to be coming off respawn to defend against that B hill capture. And in the late game, if you can defend against the B hill cap, that is a great move. But even a better move that I just saw was Acells being able to dodge that flash grenade from his opponents. And that way, he was able to successfully fight against them both, get both kills. Now, Sam on the other end, he stayed alive here at this B hill fight, which is super important because now he gets the help of his teammates. 3 hills being captured, and VQ is going to come out victorious in this round. It took him 2 minutes and 53 seconds to do so, but you know, hard fought. And this was the very first round in which they won the initial, right. So it was important that they kept control throughout the entirety of the round. If not, I don't think that you can even give them a Slytherin chance, a Slytherin hell to come back and have a chance in this map.
All right, so 3-1 going into that second half. The bandstand fight, we got a little taste of it, did we not? Right in that last round. And if you remember correctly, it was VQ who was able to win control of bandstand. So if they can replicate that success, that gives them a good handle to lock in E, get that neutral, and get that quick 2-1, which is something that they haven't been able to really successfully do. Not even in that last round. Remember, Fire and Ice was the first one to get the 2-1 before VQ was able to take control again. So this could be a pretty good start or a pretty good opportunity for VQ to finally close that gap, bring it 3-3. Fire and Ice can put themselves in a great spot. Now, my question is, does Xploids want to push this? I guess first he'll focus attention on Acells, but we've seen players push up aggressively, get that player out of the cut, and that's going to be vital. Sam, he knows he's weak. He's been peppered. Fearzly is starting to move, but Fearzly's down. Hndles is there, and now you got a 2v1, and Xploids really has to hold it down.
And I think he is, Taylor. I just feel him winning this 1v2. I just can feel it in my bones, and it looks like I am going to be right here as he's defending against the last one. But the reason why I said I felt that, because I watched how he played the initial, and he got focus fire by both of those players. I think that was Vital and Hndles. He got focus fire by both of them. Held off, threw his flash, moved up, dodged 2 more flashes, moved up, held his right hand, and he held that position on the map, which being an anchor in a bandstand does wonders for your team, especially in the second half. And then he gets 2 kills right after. I don't talk about him enough personally, but Xploids have been an MVP for this Fire and Ice roster over the last 3-4 weeks. And he's been playing super great. We talk about Dyslexic and Fearzly a lot, but they make plays off the back of the openings that Xploids creates.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Very well said. And, you know, it's really exemplified here with Xploids still maintaining his life. He's 13-5 with 6 deaths. Like, he's just playing so incredible, and you can see that pressure on the Hndles. Hndles, though, does get away, and the reason why is because he was able to hit that first big shot on Xploids. Xploids couldn't chase that, and precision on the flank as well. Xploids is going to lose his life. VQ is going to get the break on E, but Fire and Ice is going to get the break on D, too. So that's just point management, right? That's just hill management, and Fire and Ice will continue to stay ahead of the game here and continue to fight for D. Player 8's going to stick it if he can.
Yeah, he's trying to, but does he get it locked in is the real question. Now, player 8 will fall, but the one heal that F and I need is the home heal. So they're in a good spot, but VQ is in a better position to get the domination in the late round. He had 57 seconds on the clock for the Swarm team to win, but that's also 50 seconds for VQ to make the perfect play, and that's a lot of time, especially when you know that all 4 members are in front of you and nobody's behind. So 2 members in juice for VQ, 1 in each the top lane and the lower lane. And let's see how they're going to converge to get this F-Hill decapped in the final moments.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with Fire and Ice staying where they are, parking the bus. Again, as you said,
they're forced to, though.
But they are forced, I agree. But it's still, you can't be comfortable like this because VQ has had so much time, as you mentioned, to make that perfect play. So Fire and Ice, it's imperative that they get it down here, and that's going to come down from this Lancer Fire off the rip. But now you got 3 and 4. They're starting to inch their way in, and they're going for the break. They have to. They only have 10 seconds to get a touch, but good damage put onto Acells. Dyslexic also peppering up one who's going to be coming through. The team pickups are going to be there. Dyslexic is going to be instrumental in taking down this teammate, but Vital Sound's going to be is going to be successful getting a cleanup, but also Xploids going to be there as well. Toti too. Vital Sound's going to be able to pick up one, but it looks like Tony's going to be able to hold his own. Now is in a 1v1 versus Precision, who clutches up, and VQ gets the break. Fire and Ice stays at 249, and VQ brings it that much closer, tying it up 2-3.
Oh man, you know, and that's what I effing love about Escalation. Sometimes these final few moments, I was questioning VQ funneling 3 people into the hill from the side. I was like, yo, you guys at least need one to come through info. It wasn't looking too hot for him, but this is where the decap came through. Having that player down in the hill, even as the chaos was happening and players had to fight battles, was the seconds that they needed on a decap for Precision to have time to work there in the end. What a great team effort for VQ. they held the composure there in the late game in the late portions of that round. And it was a perfect pinch, man. It was a beautiful pinch from him.
Man, but you know, it came down to precision. You know, it came down to precision, and that F&I member, both of them hitting big bricks. Both of them hitting huge bricks, but Precision getting that extra bit of damage to secure that hill, keep him at 249. Just so well done. And again, 50 seconds is a long time, but that was a coin flip. VQ ended up winning. Very well done. And you know what? That gives them momentum. It really does. And you could see off this start, they pushed through bandstand in a way that they haven't done as of yet in the previous rounds, right? Typically, we have that big push and pull fight. And they pushed through because now they're feeling themselves. They just got away with robbery. They put Fire and Ice at a 249.
Oh, Sam, no, you didn't.
And man, Blaze, you already know this. Being a competitor yourself, man, those rounds hurt. Fire and Ice, man, they are hurting.
Yeah, they can't hit nothing right here, right? Like they were so behind in this 6-round fight, and they were lacking something, right? And they're lacking some of their confidence from that round 5, and we saw it there as VQ gets this one all tied up 3-3. They shift gears, coming off an exciting victory there. That was a hard-fought round, and it just shows how teams can carry that momentum. We talk about it a lot. But you just saw it carry over from one round to another before one team can regain composure, right? And just kind of chalk it up. It takes a little bit of time. So VQ knew that was their opportunity to strike and get this one all tied up 2-2. FNI, they're not playing around. They want to change the team fight for these final 3 rounds of this map. Sure. Snipers going down to cinema. Let's see what type of show is about to be put on.
And you already know that's where they're strongest, right? That first half, they were pretty dominant, and VQ could not keep up. So it makes sense to place that power weapon where Fire and Ice is strongest, right? We'll see how it works in execution, but in theory, it should be fine. But that shock is going to cut off a couple players from FNI up top, but Xploids still alive, and you have Fearzly going on the flank, and well, Xploids going to pick up that sniper, and there's the players from VQ down. Hndles going to be left to bleed out, and again, off of the start, that first half plays, you already know Fire and Ice was looking so good. That long shot placement was phenomenal and was one of the best placements they could have put, and it exemplified in the scoreline. 4-3, 37 seconds. We're at map point.
Wow. That was what FNI needed. They needed to respond with a round just as quick as the one before there. And so now let's see how VQ is going to find a way to adjust against this one, because now FNI have already shown that, you know what, we're going to set the pace here. All right, so how does VQ want to respond? You got shot grenades up top, incendiary grenades down low, but they split the fight, and they give Sam and Hndles the fight in which they kind of want down low with the M-bar. So that was a beautiful counter to the previous round.
This is crazy now. Now you get exactly that, man. And if there wasn't chaos before, well, now you definitely have it. Incense picked up, though, from player number 9, and that's going to be great if he can connect on player 3, bring it down to maybe a 1v1 in that position. Even so, looks like the M-bar is going to be picked up from Acells for the time being. Dyslexic, though, is going to pick up a nice 2-piece with the help of Xploids, so the long shot goes to them, and Acells is down. There you have it. It may have been chaotic, but Fire and Ice reacted quite well. They're locking in the domination, and I think they're going to take it 5-3 unless VQ can get a touch, and, well, no, sir, they cannot. 5-3 is where we'll stop. Fire and Ice will take map number 1, 36 seconds. Well done to them. And now we'll be heading into Vasgar, VQ's map pick, but FNI, the hard work is done, and they recovered the composure, Blaze, to lose that round at 249 and then win the next 2 in just honestly, collectively, like a minute and 10 seconds? Man, again, composure, pitcher's mentality, letting it go. Well done.
Yeah, about a minute and 10 seconds for those final 2 rounds. And that was super impressive from Fire and Ice, because rounds 5 and round 6, you know, a lot of teams lose both of those. They may be out the series, but, you know, hey, FNI knew that it was time to change the pace of the fight, not let their opponent get the same look in that round number 7. So the sniper placement was great. And then with those 2, with the team fight, the new one for the final 2 rounds, FNI was able to take control. Dyslexic was a big part of that in those final few rounds. Him and Fearzly. And because of that, they lock it in 5-3. But what a close map number 1 between both these squads. And I'm not surprised whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, we were talking about the series ahead of time, Blaze, and just saying how hard it was to, you know, pick a team. And even for us, right? I mean, you went with VQ. I go on the other end, and I go with FNI. And that just comes to show you, like, you know, we're not even on the same page with who's going to take it, right? But Fire and Ice just look strong, but that's only one map. Of course, I think we still have an incredible series ahead of us. We do head into Vasgar next, and if you remember correctly, that was VQ's old stomping ground, right? Especially when they were that 5-sec, that championship team winning the entire thing last split. And Of course, now they don't have Reptilian, but even so, they have still 4 very talented members who are going to be able to, you know, carry the torch on that very map. So I think there's a very good chance they tie it up 1-1 and send it to game 3. But this play here, Blaze, man, that even had you screaming, brother.
Yeah, no, I definitely did, man, because, you know, you see the clock stopped at 2:48 there for the Swarm team when they did such a good job controlling that round early on. But VQ, man, they hit a fantastic finish, and they changed it into that round where they got the domination. But you're going to see here in the final clips of the replay, just F&I dominating the Cinema fight. They didn't lose it. It was their win condition, if you ask me. That's Dyslexic. That's Xploids over there working hard. And so F&I to lock in map number 1. Now we move on over to Vasgar. And you already said it, Taylor. This is a stomping ground of VQ. This is their map pick. I'm expecting for them to play very well on it, but
yes,
we'll see what they can do here after losing map number 1. We'll see what type of gear they can shift in to stay in this series.
And they're gonna have to shift into a higher gear without question, because again, you going into the stomping grounds. It's not your map pick, but you know, they've got that slaying power, and I do want to reflect back. First and foremost, Xploids for me was the MVP on that district map. Man, he just played out of his mind, and like you said, you know, he's been just playing so well for F&I, and maybe he gets a little bit understated given the fact that, you know, you have Dyslexic who pops off consistently like that. But man, he's just instrumental in setting up these players for success, and you can't discredit that kind of play style. But heading into Vasgar, the big playmaker for me is going to be Dyslexic. Let's go back to you know, previous series, man. Whenever you're watching Dyslexic play on I think it was E-Days, man, he was just playing so incredibly well, which they ended up taking that victory over Hive. But with that being said, Vasgar was one of those maps. Dyslexic was that player who could consistently be in those big 1v2s and win them. Like, I don't know, he's just nasty. He's kind of like a TJ, right? TJ on tank, he's unstoppable. Dyslexic is kind of like him as well, but he also loves to get behind enemy lines and sneak up behind you. He's got to be dealt with. VQ, they've got to keep him in the back of your head.
Yeah, nah, he definitely does have to be dealt with. And, you know, a big reason on that is because that when he plays a lot of those 1v1 spots on Vasgar at the top portion of the map around that E-Hill, he wins those. He's behind enemy lines. He's all over the map. So
sure.
Dyslexic creates some big opportunities for Fire and Ice on this map. Now, I do think that he's going to have to go up against Precision when he is in those kind of 1v1 situations off the start. And we'll see a lot of those battles in the first half and in the second half if we get a power weapon download towards tank. But Dyslexic is going to be a guy in which we have to watch out for on this map. But this is going to be a game of teamwork, working smarter, not harder, playing for time, not so much for kills, to out-rotate your opponent, to get that time, avoiding fights, unnecessary fights that you do not need to take, especially in a late game. And so you do things like that, you make it difficult for your opponent to come back.
Right.
Okay, as the clock ticks in your favor, they just feel hopeless. And you're going to have to make your opponent feel hopeless in a few of those rounds so they can feel that pressure of being successful early on. So it just makes your early victories even that much more important. And that kind of steamrolls throughout the map. Now, VQ is going to be on the Swarm side. So most importantly for them, they need to trade off these rounds in the first half because we're going to have more rounds on their good side in the second half of this map. So they got to make sure that Fire and Ice does not get off to an early 3-1 lead.
Sure.
And that'll be step number 1 for them, right? We'll talk about step number 2 as the map progresses. But as far as Fire and Ice goes, they have the opportunity to set the pace on Vasgar. They've done a good job setting the pace in this series with map number 1 victory. So they're okay. Now they just need to come out here in round number 1, get some early time and, you know, have their opponent play into their hand as they're collecting information. Hopefully they find some intangibles in the second half where they can capitalize off of their opponent's mistakes and take the advantage back in their favor.
Man, you broke it down without question, Blaze. Love it. And you bring up a lot of good points. One point that I do want to bring up, you know, VQ, I think objectively is going to have the edge here. So for me, I want to see Fire and Ice to kind of exemplify that slaying power. I want to see a power weapon come down relatively early on. I think that's going to be one of the biggest plays that they can make and force that engagement, force that fight, you know, to go head first into the boys of VQ. Of course, though, we'll see how round 1 ends up going. They're not going to make any plays like that if they can't, but Acells off the rip, heads upstairs, confident as can be, and instantly takes down down Fearzly, and man, he's not even going to stop there. He picks up 2 more. Well done from Acells. That's the initial VQ needed. They quickly take the 2-1. As soon as Fire and Ice was able to lock it in, they lose it.
Wow. And they're going to get into this B hill as well. I don't think player 4 can get to a hill, but 8 and 6 just need to defend for a few more seconds. They can't stop Xploids from getting into the hill, but do they want to try? They don't even have the opportunity because they're stunned. And that's a beautiful back A from Hndles across map, but you're going to see Acells, Hndles, they will fall. The A hill goes back in favor of Fire and Ice, but man, that was some aggression out of VQ to kick this series off, and you could tell that they were trying to set a statement here in map number 2 and let their opponent know that this is not going to be easy.
Not going to be easy at all, and Fearzly will take down Vital. Some bit of revenge, and Fire and Ice looks to close out that deficit they have acquired. And man, for Fearzly, he's not stopping. He's going to be pushing Acells in the corner. Now, typically, you'd see a player just stop there, but Fire and Ice wants a little bit more. They want to close this out, and rightly so. Vital Sound could be the hero for VQ, but man, he goes into the blender, and that's a tough spot. Dyslexic Xploids will just lancer him out, and just like that, Fire and Ice will take round 1.
Woo! And that's after VQ won that initial, but you saw how they lost the second team fight, and they were never able to get their footing back in that round. So good job there to F&I off the rebuttal. They're going to take round number 1 on their good side there, and VQ, they're going to have to respond right away in this one.
All right, respond like you said, and we'll still see the standard Boltox come into play, at least for the time being. For Fire and Ice, a power weapon is definitely still something they can use in their wheelhouse. But again, it depends on how the rounds are going. And if they do take that lead, there's no reason to switch it up. Just continue to play the game that you know. But there is a big talking point, the fact that VQ now is at a rival spawn. It should be harder for Fire and Ice to take this round, or at least flip the objective game. But the potential's there. It's going to be a 2v3 momentarily onto Bravo. Player 9's going to go ahead and rotate around and make that into a 2v2. They counted the numbers. They understand Fire and Ice wants a 2v2 on each of these hills, so that's what they're going to take. Let's see who ends up ahead. For Dyslexic, well, he's already going to fall down, and VQ looks to be off to another great start. But it's about that mid game where Fire and Ice heated up in the last round. We'll see if they can replicate that success.
Yo, big kill there for the side of Acells, but he wasn't able to get back in time to get his teammate. Now, he needs to be careful of Xploids. We see him at the stairs now. No, I know he can see his head poking up. He's going to finally see it. He's like, all right, there you go. But Xploids, he takes a shot from the Botok. He has some help coming from behind, but Acells, man, he does not crumble under that type of pressure. He holds his ground. Now he has some help for his next fight. He takes a little bit wide on Dyslexic. Doesn't want to give him that one shot that he can get in that close range battle there. So good job to him. Gonna set himself up for a 2v2 fight with his teammate. But as we see, Hndles not able to get down the stairs. But he is buying time for his teammates to flank off the opposite end. So C-Hill should go in favor of VQ, but player 1 off the respawn is gonna be able to keep Fire and Ice in the game.
Keeps them in it, but I mean, VQ is looking as if this is their round to lose, and I don't see how they're going to be stopped at this point. Again, it's so hard to win off of the spawn that Fire and Ice is on, but normally the team that can win on that side first is going to be the victor. You can even go back to one of our previous series of Noble and Hive, right? As soon as Hive won that bad side, they were able to take that 3-1 lead, go into the second half and have a dominant win. Yeah, this is, oh, give it to him. Give it to him.
He don't want it, though.
But it doesn't matter. He got the W in the end.
He didn't want it. You saw how he stepped away. He was like, man, hold up. I got to let my team.
Because he playing for the W, Blaze. I don't know.
No, you're right. As he should. So he made the best play. Stayed out of one-shot range, knowing that he just had to put damage in and lock out the round. I'm just giving him crap because I wanted to see him get 4 kills back to back to back to back. But we see Precision do things like that all the time. So I'm pretty sure he's going to give me my wish at some point. Between now and the end of this weekend. All right. So great round there.
If he ends up getting that 4-piece, right?
Yeah, right. Why not? You know.
Okay. Hey, you heard it here. Clip it, baby. He got some free Chipotle coming his way. 100%. Okay. What do I owe you? Do I still owe you $10 or $5, man?
He gets a quad. You owe me $5 because you need $5 to ship me the 5 that you signed with your name on it and say Blaze.
You never told me how you wanted it. I'm doing it. But
I never did, right? You know, I'm just letting it sit. you know, when I'm having a bad day, I'm like, you know what? Taylor owed me some shit, and I'm gonna collect. So I'm just waiting for the right time.
All right, man. Just dangle me on the string, brother. I get it. It is what it is. You have the right to do that, though. Fair and square. Fire and Ice takes that 2-1. Vanquish is ready to push in without question, but Dyslexic is at the forefront. He's also has the help behind him. Player number 4 of Fearzly. And you also have a linchpin. That's player 1, and that's Xploids. And I think for him, he's kind of waiting to see how this 1v1 goes between Toti and Vital Sound. And it looks as if he's going to go ahead and rotate out, help him down. Vital Sound's out of the way, and now he can readjust and help the players over on that A fight. But they might not even need help. Dyslexic goes in for the 2-piece. Precision, though, is going to clean him up. The hill is going to be broken. Hndles is there. Xploid is going to get the down, but he does get the finish. And now it's a clean 1v1, but does Xploids want it? He does, but Precision is deadly, and he continues to get deadlier, handles his business, and is going to be victorious.
That was a big win there for the members there at VQ on top of their opponent's home hill, because by getting that decap, they didn't allow F&I to pull away with too great of a lead. So they get to come off respawn. They got their numbers in this fight before player 1 can get into a position to be really influential. So Xploids has to back up, make sure that he can just slow off this Vanquish assault. But as we see that he is not going to be able to stop it for too long, as they will not stop pushing through. And they got to respect the players off respawn. So Acells may be caught out. A nice smoke to the ground to stay alive for just a little bit longer, but it doesn't buy him the time that's needed for his team to get over there. The A hill is the only hill in which Fire and Ice has, but maybe not for long, because we see 3 fights being won there for VQ. And there's the 4th. Precision takes it wide, forcing Xploids to have to make difficult decisions, but he's caught out in the middle of the street, in the middle of that crossfire from VQ. They lock in round number 3.
And Precision is just nasty. As soon as we put it out that Chipotle bargain, he says, you know what, I'm going to really give this a good go and try to earn it myself. And say less. Hey, look, Precision tearing it up, 7-6, 2 deaths to his name. He was instrumental in locking in that Arrival's hill. And well, let's see how it continues to work out. Shocks are going to be placed down, fair enough. And now this is where for Fire and Ice, you know, maybe wants to place down a power weapon. Again, I think that's going to be a good move. They need to kind of isolate these fights and, you know, meet the boys of VQ head on. I genuinely feel that's the best strategy.
I personally feel that if the COG team wants to place down a power weapon, you place it down in the first half at some point. It gets placed down in the second half. Sometimes it goes towards tanks, and we know that the Swarm team gets the advantage there off that spine. So, and when it comes down to the first half and the different strategies in which you can run there, lock it in the ADC hill setup. If you get the power weapon down early on, you can defend against it and then force your opponents to have to play uncomfortable fights in the second half of the game. So I just think it sets the COG team up just a little bit better. But so far we're seeing, hey, average Vasgar gameplay, average in the sense of weapon placements and initials off these first 4 rounds. Both teams have been trading out the COG respawn down low. And right now, though, the COG team currently at the disadvantage in this round as far as spawns go. They're doing a good job locking in the C and the A hill. And this is probably going to be one of the COG team's favorite setups here off this side. But as we see in here, they're pushing forward. They're winning their fights at A. They take out Hndles. They're rushing down low to get to this B hill. But they're going to have to deal with these players off respawn for VQ. It's going to come down to this fight in the round. And VQ, man, they're going to get in there, but they're going to fall. They can't get the decap, man. The defense too strong for F9.
Too strong indeed. Well done. Fire and Ice answers back, brings it 2-2. So it's not going to be lopsided going into the second half. It's going to be neck and neck, exactly where we wanted to see. And we get into one of my most, or one of the exciting fights for me, and that's that fight for F. You know, you have this large amount of space that's just so open, and it's you really have to maneuver it properly. You know, you can lose your life pretty quickly, I would say. And I love watching the teams kind of figure out how they want to maneuver through that open space. So for me, it's an awesome one to watch. I enjoy watching E as well. It's a unique fight, right, on helicopter, because for Fire and Ice, for example, they can go through rivals. They're going to have that high ground, and VQ has to find a way to battle against that high ground. Of course, if Fire and Ice takes it, which they're not going to. But regardless, again, another open style of fight with, you know, very few coverage. For Dyslexic, he's going to try and open up a door, though, and he's going to manage to take down Hndles. But, of course, the pickup is there. But he gets to clean up on Vital Sound. Hndles is down, and a flawless victory for F&I off the initial.
And that quick hop and a skip, he's going to be flanking these players of VQ on top of their home hill. Xploids and Toti know, so they're going to have to push up very soon, but they're not meeting Dyslexic at the right time. Dyslexic gets held up there. I do believe that is a shot grenade on the stairs, and the shot grenade is what really kind of slowed down that push. So you see how important it is to have that on top of your home hill, as VQ is going to stay alive in this round. Now they got a 2v1 on top of the E hill, and we see Fearzly backing up. So VQ, do they chase this kill first, or do they get the decap? Now it's going to be a 2v2 on the hill. We'll see what Dyslexic can do here to help out Fire and Ice as VQ is defending.
VQ is defending indeed, and with that lead from Fire and Ice, it's there, but VQ can quickly flip the script, and they're in position to do so, but it's going to be tricky to kind of battle against Fearzly and Dyslexic at this moment. But they're going head first. They want to take them down up top and then rotate back. But man, Fearzly's just ducking and dodging, getting out as quickly as he can. For Dyslexic, nowhere he can hide. And that's going to put Fearzly in a potential 1v2 as soon as Dyslexic is, you know, figured out with. But no, actually, they're going to go ahead and, they're going to pinch Xploids and Toti. This isn't a bad play at all.
It's not, but I do want to say that was a 200 IQ play there from Fearzly to get behind enemy lines. Even though, like, he knew it was going to be a difficult fight and his teammates may die, he kept a heal for him. And he called it out and says, hey, do your best. You know, I got E locked in, and he's letting them know what they need to do off the respawn. So if the longer that Fearzly stays alive, the better chance that F&I has to get the heals in which they need in this round, because they're going to have to send a third guy, they being VQ, back to the respawn, possibly to defend against this one.
Dyslexic's going for it. Shock on the right side. Has Precision isolated. The finish isn't there just yet, but either way, Precision is gone. Big chunk, though, from Vital Sam on the Fearzly. Dyslexic pushes up, gets one, goes for the second, and connects. And he's now going to be the hero to pick up Xploids. Scoreline is tight. It's close, but that's another big win for Toti. And now a domination coming through. Precision, last one standing. He's pushing up. Good spacing for Xploids. Forces the misroll from Precision. Acells now gets a touch, but at this point, it's all damage control. And VQ, they are on their last leg for this round, and Fire and Ice is going to have to mess up royally in order to lose it.
Yeah, royally indeed. But I don't see that happening. Nobody's going to be making it to these hills on the other end of the map. And that was a beautiful round for F&I. I think they definitely have the advantages, the momentum in their favor, the advantages that this map gives you in their favor as well. They're in a great position to close this series out in the 2-0 fashion. VQ, man, they got to flip this one around now. They don't have too many more opportunities coming up.
Too many opportunities indeed. And if Fire and Ice can win this checkpoint spawn, man, they could be in good hands. See what Vital Sam's going to be up to, most likely upgrading that Boltok over to the Retro as well. That firepower is going to be huge, especially if you can lock in any hill, really. More importantly, going for helicopter, right? Having that Retro to be able to pepper those two players who are going to be pushing in is just going to be huge. Either way, we will now get the round started off. Fire and Ice has the potential to put themselves at match point, series point, and I know that's exactly where they want to be. But I know VQ's got a little bit more left in the tank, right? They're going to battle hard as they can to get this win. But off the rip, though, they're going to give Fire and Ice E pretty much uncontested. For Dyslexic, though, he doesn't want it to be that easy. He wants to push up and force to fight on Hndles in a cell. He willingly puts himself in a 1v2.
Yeah, you know, he is going to willingly do that. Now, he has help at the bottom of the stairs, and he got two members kind of trapped on this side of the map. Now, player 7 is going to get some cross from afar to help VQ out in this fight, but Fearzly and Dyslexic, they win their battles, and the last man standing was Vital on this end of the map. Now, his teammates in a 1v2 down low, but Precision can't get close enough to have an impact there in that battle. F-Hill will be defended off the members of VQ coming off respawn, but, you know, this is not the best place you want to kind of defend from. You want to be pushed out towards the stairs if you can make it there, as we see these VQ members cannot get close enough to the hill. So F&I with an advantage here. They've won the initial. Now let's see how long they can hold this.
That's tough. Fearzly get the cleanup, now force the issue onto Precision. Now, Precision's been doing a great job in these tough spots, these 1v1s, so he has a very real chance to take this win, but even so, He's going to be running into 2 more members of FNI as soon as he goes up towards D. So Fearzly's going to go ahead and disengage, and now the fight on D is going to be underway. You would have to think shortly, but Lancer Fire is going to hurt. That 2v2 is going to be tough, and going uphill is always harder than looking down the hill. So VQ is going to have a tough task ahead of them, but they're going for it now. 3 strong. It's going to be a big 3v3. This team fight means a lot for VQ. If they can win this, they can start closing that gap. They get the decap, but they don't get the kills just yet. Dyslexic is there. He's going to be sandwiched in between 2. He's going to be chunked from the flank. The shock is going to dissipate, and that's going to put them onto D to get the break. Toti, he's going to be in the shadows looking to pick up a cleanup if he can, but now he's been spotted and he's down. VQ, they are starting to look good, Blaze, and they might be able to flip the script and take the win condition soon. They already have it, but man, I'm curious what Fire and Ice has up their sleeve.
Oh, this is going to be a big rotation towards the E-Hill. Player 7 does a great job staying alive. He's going to have some help from player 9 as well, who's going to get there to the fight. E-Hill's neutralized, but being here in the late game, that's not a bad play for VQ. Hndles takes 1 more to the grave, so it's just going to be player 4 on this side of the map by himself. Now, Toti did win 1 fight in the 1v2 that he needed to.
Got it.
But he's not going to get the second now. Will this be enough? It should be.
Yep.
Unless VQ can get to the E-Hill in time. Now, they only got about 4 seconds before the lead changes. They're going to run past the player in Fearzly. And Fearzly, man, he stays alive to the last and final moment for him to be able to lock in that hill and lock in the win for this round. The back portion. FNI, they get 3 in a row, and man, they're looking fantastic. After they won round number 4, I just kind of felt like they had that momentum in their favor. And actually, it was round number 5 that they won, and they had that momentum in their favor, and they're looking good, man.
Definitely are. And now they move down to a rival spawn once again. I think that's where they feel comfortable. And Vitosam has a decision to make. Do I want to continue to match what the team of FNI is putting out there? Do I want to change up the fight? Because the past couple of rounds have just simply not worked. But looks as if they're going to go ahead and upgrade to that instant. Fair enough. So they have a lot of utility to work for, whereas Fire and Ice, they're going to prioritize that damage per second, right? Prioritize that retro, which there's a lot of open space here. That retro is going to hit incredibly hard. But that instant also has the potential to flip the script, take that player down, and bring the manpower back into your hands. It's a big round for VQ. Obviously, you can already tell with them being down 4-2 and also down 1-0 in the series count, these are some must-win rounds. They've got to win 3 straight in order to force a game 3.
You know, so far off the initials out of 6 rounds, both these squads have split the initial victories, in my opinion. But, you know, Fire and Ice, they had a late comeback win in round number 4, which kind of tilt the score into their favor. So 2-2 fight up top, 2-2 fight down low, and it is Fearzly with the first down, but Vital with the first kill. Quick turnaround, can't take out Fearzly with the meat shield. So E-Hill and the Vantage locked in for FNI. They're sitting currently in the victory position as VQ is going to have to push these guys and make plays.
Big 2v1 hill count for Fire and Ice. VQ just trying to figure it out. You can tell though, man, they're really trying to think. The wheels are turning in. What is the play to make?
Oh, they had a big down. Lancer down.
Oh, that's huge.
Fearzly. So that's going to get them to E-Hill. Because player 2 will not be able to stop both of them. Now, he does have a retro. He gets some free damage off, but Hndles is going to see him, and Hndles knows that he has to fight this one off the left hand. Even better shots from Dyslexic. That's such a difficult fight. As you're going to Lancer from Vital, you got this guy pushing off you on your right, and to get 2 quick shots in cover like that was just beautiful. So he buys enough time for help to come, and 2-1 hill setup should go back in favor of Fire and Ice.
Definitely will. Like you said, Dyslexic, huge plays. But on the other side, though, Precision and Acells are heating up. And they'll lock in the 2-1 once again for VQ. F is now in their hands, and that's going to put Dyslexic and Fearzly once again trying to battle against these VQ boys to gain any type of control. Now we're really starting to see that Vasgar come into play with the objective work. And as VQ is going to go ahead and read the numbers, they're going to reallocate 3 members over towards D to give them the man advantage. So it is imperative. That is a phenomenal. Not only a shock, but also instant to take down Dyslexic. That should solidify this round for VQ unless Fire and Ice can flip the script quickly.
Yeah, quickly is the key word there. with player 4 going down and the spawn being on the other end of the map, player 1 needs to make a big play to kind of get the decapture on D. But with this fight down low, Acells misses the wrap shot, but luckily for him, Precision was there on the flank, and that's 3 members down for F&I. And they're going to win this one in the late game. Now, F&I, over these last 4 rounds, now they've won 3 in a row. This is going to be the first one that they've lost in a while. Okay, let me not get ahead of myself. A lot of these hills are getting decapped here, but VQ is getting them captured as we are in the final few seconds of this round. But what I was going to say here, Taylor, was that, you know, these last 4 rounds at the 150 mark, F&I has been leading. Okay, so you see, so they hit that 150 mark first, just 100 points left in the late game. And each and every round, VQ is forced to come back. And that's a lot of pressure on them, especially after losing map number 1. So F&I has them exactly where they want them, backed up against the wall. But VQ, after that last round, they did a good job fighting back. And I think they proved something to themselves on this map that they can kind of climb back into this series. But these last 2 rounds is going to showcase that. Because F&I has been winning these initials. They have been applying pressure. And VQ has not been doing a good job handling that in these last 2 rounds. They need to come out with some unique strategies to show what they've learned over the previous 7.
And there's the power weapon that I've been wanting to see. And I'm going to really get the test if this was the right call, because I've been saying Fire and Ice needs a power weapon down to isolate the fight in one general area, and I think their Slain power should put them ahead. Now, off the start, though, VQ will win the 1v1 up top. That was a great win from the man of Hndles, and he will take down Dyslexic. That's a tough fight, but regardless, VQ takes the 2-to-1 hill advantage, and that makes this M-bar fight that much more important for the boys of Fire and Ice. They need any advantage that they can get, and Xploids is going to find an opening. He's going down. He's going to be relatively weak, but also get some nice shots on the Precision. And look at this. They're going to be going for the sandwich, and the first one's going to end up falling. That's going to be Precision, and Vitosap and Acells are all gone. The M-bar is going to be in the hands. 3 down for VQ, and Fire and Ice is not going to waste any time. They're going in for the domination now. This 1v1 between 2 and Hndles is going to be big.
Hndles threw his incendiary grenade to just slow down Dyslexic, not so much worrying about the kill, but just letting his teammates get enough time off the respawn. Now, Hndles is going to decap E. He's probably going to flank D right away. At least that's what I would do if I was him. You know, keep putting that pressure on your opponent. You know Dyslexic is going to be coming off that respawn. You're going to have another 1v1. Precision gets a kill there on Toti. Sam goes down. The M-bar splits them both. Misses the second close up, and they're going to let him think about his decisions there, as VQ is going to try to find some more map control, but they recognize that they got exactly enough here in the round 8 in this series.
Man, he missed every shot with the M-bar. Now Precision's going to have 1 to his name. I guess the only benefit for F&I is they wasted 5 of those 6 shots, so there's only going to be 1 they're going to have to battle against, but VQ's looking solid without question. And Xploids, he wanted to get those pickups, but he said, you know what? There's no reason for 3 of us to die, right? Just go ahead and let you 2 leave. I'm going to go ahead and back off and potentially help my teammate who's going to be trying to fend off some VQ members onto D. And there's that 1 shot, hits a nice body. Fearzly's going to end up dropping off, and now Xploids by himself. He'll be joined by player 3, but VQ's holding it down. They passed the 200-point mark. Fire and Ice got to get to work. They don't have much time left.
Yeah, they don't got much time left indeed, and that shot grenade is going to slow down the assault here for Fire and Ice. Now 2v2 down low, 2v2 up top, and I'm mistaken, it's a 2v1 on the top end of the map, and it's a 2v0 down low on the F side. So, hey, this is a VQ round, and, you know, I mentioned before when we kicked it off at the 150 mark that so far, these last 4 rounds, F&I was leading, but anytime VQ has been leading at the 150 mark, they have won the round. So pay close attention to that as we go into round number 9 to see how early VQ is able to hold control to be able to get that lead, because I doubt we see any quick trip cap dominations unless the fights just all happen to go their way in round number 9, which could, you know, which could happen. But so far, up until this point, we have even split the initials between both these squads. Okay, so it's anybody's game at this point as we go into the round number 9, folks. I will say that the Swarm team has the little advantage from being in that D spawn, having to fight for that M bar, but the incendiary grenades will not play a factor. The shot grenade will not get picked up for F&I. VQ, what can you do with the small advantages that you have going into this round? The quick pick on the M bar, the angle that Xploids taken was the best. The shot grenade is going to block them off a bit, and now Xploids is looking to clean house.
Okay, so Xploids does finally connect, and it's going to at least get rid of precision for the time being and allow F&I to push up a little bit further still. We're at a standstill when it comes to the objective, right? Still only one hill for both teams. A couple of missed M-bar shots once again, and Xploids don't get carried away now. Don't put Toti in a spot where he's going to be in a 1vx situation. But the M-bar's out of the way, and now VQ understands this. They've been counting the numbers. Xploids forced to clutch up. He can't. Toti now is going to be in a 1v3. He can't even get the trade onto one. VQ is going to effectively get a break forward, but F&I does win the E fight. Player 9's end up falling off. Player 4 is going to rotate over towards D, so at least they should be able to get the decap here unless Player 7 pushes up. So the decap will be there. Vital Sam, he's going to go ahead and hang back. But there's no reason why VQ doesn't capitalize in this moment unless Fire Ice, this pinch is here.
Nah, Dyslexic made a great rotation through the mid-map to get to his team and quickly take the 4v3 that they had. So with that pinch coming through, they can have the D heal if they want, but they want to get the remaining 2 players of VQ. So they're going to do just that. So that's just great rotations here for F&I, and I'm going to give them credit for winning the initial there too. But on top of the map, player 9 will get a heal for Vanquish. So they got a little base of operations for now, but they need to react quickly. Now, for their saving grace, that M-bar is not on the map anymore, so they don't have to worry about that just yet.
Well, also that they have the advantage with the 3v2, but on the opposite end, you have VQ in that big 2v1. So Fearzly, big moment here to kind of hold his own, and it starts against player number 8, and he's going to go ahead and lose his life. So VQ for sure is going to get the break on the F. So it's imperative Fire and Ice wins this engagement, and they've already lost 2 of their members. Hndles, he needs to hold his own here, but man, he's going to drop off as well, and it looks like F&I will, in fact, retake this hill. But VQ is going to be up 2-1.
I wish Hndles would have just ran past both those players there, okay? Because he got behind them, and their team was already winning the fight down low, so he ultimately just kind of had to stay alive. Now, there was a close break between the 150 mark, and I honestly say it was a tie between both teams as we passed it, but we can just give that on over towards VQ. They got 2 heals locked in. They got the M-bar as well. Oh, big shot there, but luckily for him, his teammates win it without his help. Shot grenades being detonated. That D heal won't get capped just yet. And the members of F&I cannot get to their home hill in time. Player 7 is going to decap E. We're in the late game, and it's looking like this series is going to go the distance.
I think it definitely is, unless Fire and Ice just pulls off just a heroic play. But even so, they can't even get... Oh, and that's a great connection. Hndles will drop Xploids, and he should be picked up maybe, but also Acells can hit a nice shot as well. And yeah, they're not going to be able to get to these hills. Well done from VQ, man. And you know what, Blaze, you said it best. Fire and Ice off the initial, they were winning it consistently, but the late game, right? The mid to late game is where VQ started to wake up, started to play well, and they take those last 3 rounds in a row, tie it up, and more importantly, take that round 9. That sends us to game 3, and like you said, this series is going to be a close when it comes down to map 3 on Training Grounds. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, though, we'll be heading into TG. It's going to be a lot of fun. Welcome back to the Gears Pro League Week 5, heading into map 3. I feel like I've been saying that all night. Last series between Noble and Hive went the map 3, went the distance, and we knew this one was bound to go the distance as well. VQ, Fire and Ice, so evenly matched up, and for a little bit, it looked like Fire and Ice is going to take that 2-0 win this series, send us into our final series today with PK and Rise, but VQ fought back, won the last 3 rounds, and that forces us to head into Training Grounds map number 3. Blaze, break it down for me. Those last 3 rounds, Fire and Ice just could not figure out a way to close out mid and late game. That was all VQ.
Yeah, and they just could not, man. Those last 2 rounds specifically, leading up to round 7, F&I was leading in the late game. You know, but VQ, it just took them one time in round number 7 to kind of turn it all around with a last second push there. But from there, they was able to accumulate all the information in which they've gotten from Fire and Ice throughout the map and formulate 2 good rounds there towards the end, winning them off of time, Hndles, Acells making big plays off the initial to give VQ that early lead in which they needed to kind of feel comfortable making the comeback. So everyone across the entire team of Vanquish giving it a team effort to stay alive in the series. But now we got to head on over towards training grounds. And both these squads are going to be very good at this map. We talked about this early in the series, how we felt like these 3 maps for these two, both these teams were some of their best, right? Top 4 maps for them. And that they were going to play well. And it's so far been shown in the scoreline. We are 1 round away from just playing the maximum rounds up until this point. But sure, I think this last map, we will go the distance. And then the 2 players that I'm looking for to really make an impact for both their respective teams is going to be Acells and Xploids. And I think based off their gameplay, it's going to tell a lot about how their team's going to perform. And they need to be playing well.
Fair enough. And so one thing that I do want to bring to note is the fact training grounds, you do have those big epic battles that take place in Overlook, but it's a very big team-oriented map, objective-based as well, right? So big rotations take place, big OEs as well, but that teamwork is imperative. And Blaze, I passed the question to you. VQ in those last 3 rounds showed great teamwork. Do you think that's going to transition over to training grounds and give them the edge on Fire and Ice?
Oh, 100% I do. I think that they were really warming up towards the back end of Vasgar. And we saw them multiple rounds on District kind of come up with a great game plan to get those rounds in a row. So the teamwork is there. They just got to close out these series. And they showed us that they can close out map number 2 very well. So now kicking off training grounds, we got a different strategy for both these squads. Both teams playing off their left hand. Avoiding, not intentionally avoiding their opponent, but hoping that they were finding a fight, but it just happened to kind of play out this way. As you're going to see VQ locking in the top of these stairs. Acells is right where he want to be. Let's see who's going to make the first move, because I don't think it's going to be happening in the 1v1. And we got Vital and Fearzly on that side of the map. That's going to be exciting when it pops off. But for now, I think first play happens at the Overlook, but honestly, I don't know who makes it. I do know it's going to be somebody from Fire and Ice, though.
You would have to think so with their positioning, but you can really see the tension, between both of these rosters, and you can kind of see that on Vasgar, and I mean, even go all the way back to District at certain points. But you mentioned Fire and Ice; they go in for the first move. Dyslexic gets the chunk on precision. Acells looking to answer back, but he can't. Dyslexic's going to be picked back up. Now the last player from VQ is going to be down low, and that's Hndles full red. Slowly moving in, trying to get the finishes if he can, but it's such a tough spot. He's been brought down very weak. But even so, VQ loses that Overlook fight. The objective is over on B, right? That's where the neutral hill is, and VQ will take a 20-point lead and keep it. Unless Fire and Ice can answer back, which they are doing, so they're going in for the domination. VQ needs to get a break.
Yeah, they do need to get a break, but, F&I off that win on the other end of the map, they had the numbers in which they needed to get the trip cap domination. So they're going to do just that. And that's a good round for F&I. Good job to Vital for pushing out Fearzly, overextending the round. But Fearzly did a better job playing his life, letting his teammates get the objectives that they needed on the map and waiting for help.
So Fire and Ice takes the early lead with the 1-0 advantage. Boltox will come into play. I'm curious if we'll see a little bit more of that standoff on Overlook. I expect this next round, Blaze, to both teams just to go for it. I don't think we're going to see that standoff again. And if I had to guess, VQ is going to be that team to take the fight directly into F&I. I think they're just going to be a tad more aggressive and maybe even catch F&I off guard here.
Let's see if they can catch them off guard. It's going to be hard. Catch this team off guard because they got such quick reactions where if you think that you got the jump on them, they somehow hit the perfect shot that they need to in that moment. Now VQ, they're not giving F&I the fight that they want down low at U. And so both teams are going to play their respective spots. Once again, VQ going Overlook, F&I going down low. The flashes are coming out. Precision can't capitalize off of that. You got Fearzly with the Lancer across map, giving a lot of pressure to VQ. Now they're doing a good job staying alive in this pressure. The final down comes through on Precision. Acells goes down, and Dyslexic is going to be able to win the fight for his team. Overlook control is in their favor. They're going to be able to take out Hndles. Nice down for him, but Sam on the other end of the map is just going to choose to disengage and help his teammates at the home hill, giving them a cross from heaven. But can that be enough to stop the trip cap domination? Xploids and Dyslexic trying to end it now, Taylor.
They definitely are. Precision, though, trying to open up the door to allow VQ to come back in it, but falls a bit short. Hndles is up, but he says, you know what, this round is over. I'm not even going to be able to get there. Fire and Ice, another dominant round goes to them. They lead 2-0, and they understand where their strong suit is, right? They understand that their strongest play is to have a dominant initial and to end it early. They understand what VQ can do in the mid to late game, right? That was exemplified on Vasgar in those last 3 rounds. You mentioned how strong F&I was off of the start, but when VQ is allowed to extend the game, they have a much better chance at reacting and adjusting to what Fire and Ice is throwing their way. So well done for Fire and Ice, understanding their strong suits, taking advantages when they can, and winning these big initials. And I'm curious to see how VQ starts to adjust. That's 2 rounds in a row. They have lost the initial much the same way, and it looks as if they're going to adjust by sending 2 players immediately over to B. They want to fight for the neutral early on.
Yeah, and they're going to shift themselves into a defensive position right after this capture, but with player 6 taking over that overlook position, and you get a flank through mid-map. That was actually player 7. Dyslexic makes the perfect play to help his squad get 2 downs, and he wastes no time rotating towards the A hill. He will not be contested. The B hill will not be contested, and this is looking like a domination for F&I, but Dyslexic may not have enough time. That's a beautiful stun.
Okay.
He's going to help him out in the 1v1, but he cannot get the final kill on Vital, but great start to him.
And I said, oh, wow, because I genuinely thought VQ was going to waste too much time and not get the touch and allow Dyslexic to basically win that hill in the domination unscathed, uncontested. But they timed it properly. The stun doesn't go off. Dyslexic falls behind, but Fire and Ice still nets themselves about a 40-point lead. So VQ has to find a way to try and re-engage and find some success. But there's a lot of presence on B. Fire and Ice, they are putting a lot of defensive work on this neutral hill, and rightly so. Vanquish, they also want this neutral, but they do have an audible with players 1 and 4. Precision and Vital 7, they want to go for the OE. They understand the only player that's going to be over there is Toti. They counted the numbers. Player 6 can rotate over, or Xploids can at least help with the Lancer fire, but man, they are really figuring it out, but they are wasting a lot of time, and the more time they waste, Fire and Ice gets closer to the 250 mark.
And a big reason is because Fearzly is in God spot, so you got to get him out of God spot before you can do anything. So Fearzly is going to be the focus, but Xploids has perfect focus on the guy at Overlook. Taking that Lancer out the battle makes his team have such a higher percentage to be able to defend this B hill and come away with this round. But as kills are being acquired, it's a 3v3 on the map for now. The A hill, the home hill for VQ, gets decapped. Somebody's going to have to fight that one, and somebody's going to have to get to the home hill. So player 3 has to get to C. Players 1 and 2 need to defend A. And so far, you see F&I backing up because they say, you know what, forget this, man. Get to the home hill. Yeah. Went off the one that we got, but Hndles, man, he makes the right rotation. Now, in this position, he's just buying time, but it wasn't enough to get the decap, and that's what his team needed there.
Absolutely, and as Vital Simmons up falling, Fire and Ice, they solidify it, bring it 3-0, and they lead the way. And that was kind of the first indication of how mid and late game can be played out. But even so, the scoreline wasn't close whatsoever. VQ was constantly in damage control, and you mentioned that God spot, right, with Fearzly. They just couldn't get him out of the way, Blaze, and well, he ended up being the factor that kind of kept VQ at bay. So now up 3-0, Acells says enough is enough. We need to point this fight for the M-bar up top on Overlook, and this is a big round. You know, I don't need to say it, but I'll say it. You know, if F&I wins this, they're up 4-0, and man, you pretty much chalk it up. It's almost over with.
Yeah, VQ was in this position in map number 1, and they got the game tied up, so they know that they can get out of this difficult spot. 8 and 4, the 1v1 spots are watching the flank. 3v3 up top. Acells and Precision at the apex of the fight for VQ. They get the first 2 downs. Toto's next on the hit list. Nowhere for him to run. Now what does VQ do? Which hills do they go for? Player 8's backing up to try to force them back on their side of the map, but not enough, not a quick rotation to B. This should be enough time on the map for Fire and Ice to get back off respawn and contest. And Fearzly is doing a fantastic job staying alive. He's just being annoying. And he knows exactly what he's doing for his team in this moment. They're going to get the capture at B.
Ooh, Acells will connect. Great shot onto Toti, and that removes the pressure of that 1v1. Hndles doesn't have to take it anymore, and he can go and allocate himself to help for the retake of B and get that much closer to the domination. Speaking of which, Fire and Ice coming off the respawn. This will be a great connection. Oh, it just misses, and that opens up the door for Fire and Ice to get the touch. But even so, Vanquish has netted themselves a decent lead and dominant map control. And with the Acells having 2 more rounds in the bar, and Fire and Ice has to play this carefully.
One more shot now. We'll see how long does he want to hold on. Oh, never mind. He accidentally shot it, so he got to put it on his back. But, you know, that last shot, just revving a gun forces your opponent to have to respect you, especially if they wasn't counting the shots. At this level of gameplay, you expect your team to be counting the shots so you know how to move around that power weapon, knowing when it's not going to be a factor anymore. But last shot goes there, and you're going to see the push come through for F&I, but VQ do a fantastic job defending it at the overlook. And so now they get to push through to the home hill. They get the final 2 downs at the B hill. They're going to be able to lock this round up by way of domination. Now, let's see if we get a repeat from map number 1 and they win 3 in a row. Because if they do get, if Fire and Ice gets the 4,
yeah,
I just don't know how VQ can come back with such pressure on their shoulders in a map number 3. I don't see how they can do such a thing.
I really don't either myself personally. But one encouraging thing though, Blaze, is you know, that fight was won with the in-bar place down. So and Acells was huge in that fight. Like he popped off. Like every time I'm looking at the kill feed, I'm just seeing Acells, right? He's getting the downs, he's getting the finishes. His team is popping off. So if there's any indication that VQ could turn things around and tie this series up, or tie this map up, excuse me, it's based off that last round. But they've got to replicate that success and they have to be flawless. Look at player 8 though. Player 8's getting sneaky. That's going to be Dyslexic. He's going on the flank already, and man, VQ has no idea he's going to be there.
Come here, let me shower.
Yeah, they don't have any whatsoever. Kills traded off, but it's F&I who was able to pick up 2. They get the 3rd, and they know where the remaining player is going to be. Hndles is up top now. Before, it was Vital who was allocated to the flank to have to worry about Dyslexic, but he wasn't able to, you know, so that was a big fight from him, a big flank from Fearzly. That was Vital's guy, okay? It was 4 and 8 playing the 1v1s on that side of the map, but he lets Fearzly get through off the back end, and now you get the power weapon, you get map control, all in favor of Fire and Ice. Let's see what they can do with that.
A bit of a body shot, spacing it out. He go, oh no, Dyslexic.
Oh, he gets focused down.
Yeah, that is not what he needed, and now the rest of his team's forced to rotate over, and here comes the cavalry. VQ needed to get them down, and they does so. But Dyslexic pops up, hits Acells with a shot immediately, and that might help their odds, but Dyslexic is down. VQ is now finally able to break onto Overlook. Look at player 6. He's rotated over for F&I, and he wins the 1v1. That's gonna keep F&I in this game. They're already in it, but more importantly, though, it's gonna force VQ to make a decision, and Acells wins that fight. So now VQ, they didn't get that big break they wanted. I know when they went Overlook, Blaze, they wanted to push to F, but they had to rotate back because of player number 6. So now things are interesting. Fire and Ice still has the lead, but VQ, they've got control of the objective. Now the second in-bar fight is about to be underway.
When Fire and Ice has this much time in the late game and they're leading at that 150 mark, they are calm. They know that it comes down to one fight, that anyone can make the play. They are strong in this type of scenario. Now, with 15 seconds on the clock before the lead changes, we're going to see where they want to push. Hndles and Vital, they're going to be locking in this choke. Player 1 got a cross from up top. F&I are aware of all of this. Now, where they place their flashes is going to be very key. They need to stun the Lancer up top. They're going to focus on the guy in the back. But you see the amount of damage in which Precision is putting out. Is 40 clips in that Lancer. He got a little left hand advantage there for his squad. The shotty's out. The downs is there. He steps up into one-shot range. Goes for the player in the back. Knowing Dyslexic was on his last down. 2 kills come through. The setup was not broken. And F&I, their home hill is getting decapped. Xploids, man. He's just going to have to cool off into the next round.
And that is such a big win for Vanquish. Such a big win. That's what we call the swing round, ladies and gentlemen, and they just won that. And you call it the swing round again because, you know, you don't want to be down 4-1. Just like Blaze was saying earlier, if Fire and Ice gets to that 4 mark and, you know, VQ is still at 1, you pretty much chalk it up unless, man, just F&I truly drops the ball. But with VQ winning that last round in the fashion they did it, especially being down as much as they were and able to recover as well. They lost the initial, they lost the M-bar, they were down, 40, 50 points, and they still managed to come back and win in the way of like that is impressive.
I don't know who was it, but it was the player on Heaven getting a down on M-bar. By them getting the down on M-bar, that completely broke the setup. It was like a snipe down in Gears 1. Players had to scurry to keep them alive, and VQ knew that, and they wasted no time getting to where they had to. It's one thing to discuss. Should we push? We got the down. No, they all knew where they had to go. And they're going to all double back off this hill.
What?
A team down happens. Something happens. Okay. Maybe a player lagged out. But it was a quick disengage. There. So, okay.
It was a quick disengage. I was like, hold up. What, this new strat coming out, man. My mind's not ready for this, please. I'm thinking, oh, unfortunate. Hey, it is what it is. We got some issues. We'll figure it out. But the scoreline's close and the swing ground was 1. Bottom line, again, now it's up 2-3. And you mentioned on District, right? You go to historical evidence. VQ was down 3-0. But they managed to come back and tie it up 3-3. And the potential is absolutely there here on Training Grounds. I feel like VQ gets better and better. When the pressure is truly on, VQ doesn't just roll over and die. They stand up and rise up even stronger. And that's what we're seeing from this VQ. We still have a lot of map left on this Training Grounds.
It's in their DNA as professional Gears of War players. They know that as the round progresses, you need to be figuring out, paying attention to what your opponent initial is. Where can you find that advantage? Where can you get a numbers advantage? And you have to constantly be evolving as a team throughout 9 rounds, because you're not going to play the same F&I every single day,
True.
You've heard the term that is any given Sunday sometimes, and that's really true in Gears of War. So when it comes down to that, in the moment, you have to be locked in. So VQ, They're always locked in. You can't count them out in a series. So we'll see if they can battle their way back in this map 3.
Well, the suspense is killing me. It truly is. But unfortunately, we are going to have to take a little bit of a break, bit of a technical pause. We're going to reset up the lobby, bring it back 2-3, and be underway very shortly. Until then, we're going to take a quick break. So don't go anywhere, guys. Still, we are deadlocked here. Map number 3, and it's still anybody's series to take. And keep the discussion going in chat and let us know who you think is going to take it. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to week 5 of the Gears Pro League. We're taking that little technical pause. They're resetting up lobby as we speak. So hopefully we'll be back into the action relatively soon. But Blaze, what do we got going on, right? VQ, they're coming back. They've won 2 straight rounds. They brought it 2-3 now. Fire and Ice still leads by 1 round. But that battle for M-Bar, it's been a huge battle. And it's gone back and forth. But it seems as if, just like on Vasgar, transferring over to Training Grounds, VQ's late game is pretty much unmatched. And Fire and Ice, they're starting to fall apart in that late game attempt, man, because VQ just finds a way to retake control.
Well, we've seen VQ show that characteristic specifically in map number 1 and map number 2, because on District, they were down 3 rounds and they did manage to make that comeback. So we're starting to see that once again, and it's off the back of an M-bar placement. It's VQ making the overlook area of the map the focal point. And now, after taking the time to win those initials, since you're going to see the boys of Fire and Ice have to kind of play into that trap. They just set a little bait down for them, right? They say, we know you guys like the M-bar. You got dyslexic and Fearzly on the team. We get it. But we want you to kind of walk in here and feel like you need to get this weapon. So VQ has Fire and Ice playing exactly into their hands where they want them to. Now, the way that Fire and Ice is going to be able to lock this series up, wrap it up with a bow, and get us out of here is that this is going to come down to some first bloods and them forcing VQ to have to fight them at the initial. That relies on the front spawn player to see if he can get into a fight. If he can make it to a specific point on the map where he can get some initial damage in, probably set the pace. And that's something that we know Xploids and Dyslexics to be very good at doing. VQ, man, they love being here in the late game of these series. They historically don't start off the best, but it's all about how this team finishes, okay? And we've seen them finish the season with a championship before. And in this series, man, you got to expect that in the last 4 rounds that we're going to see that they're just going to keep getting better on Training Grounds. F&I cannot let this stoppage take some wind out of their sails. They got to keep the pressure up, because as the game slows down, I think VQ is going to be getting better.
100%. And I think that's been the weakest point for Fire and Ice throughout any of their series. They're phenomenal off the start. If they can finish off a round early on, right, that's where they're strongest. But you extend that out a little bit, I don't know, something just kind of falls apart. And maybe that's because Fire, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe that's because Fire and Ice are a lot more one-dimensional than we think they are. Maybe they just enjoy those big engagements, those big fights off the start, and that's how they continue to play initials, the early game, mid game, and late game, and they don't really try and change that up, right? They just look for these big fights, these big engagements where teams try to work their way around that and find a way objectively to end up ahead. Do you think that's maybe a weak point for Fire and Ice, is maybe they do have the same play style throughout both mid, late, and beginning of the portions of the game?
I think the weak point of it is that those engagements are primarily shoddy focused, right? It's fair, about getting kills with the shotgun, training it out in those close quarter battles, utilizing the movement of the game for them to kind of close the distance and pressure you. So they get first blood, then they use the numbers in the shotguns to pressure you into victory. And when it goes their way, hey, it's hard to stop, right?
True.
But on the flip end, you see other squads, and squads like VQ here, they mix it up between shoddy and lancer, right? Sometimes they're going to set the trap for you. Sometimes they don't mind going head to head and making it a gridlock there in the middle of the map. But I don't know if Fire and Ice has that level. Now we see them on maps like Vasgar be able to kind of play for time, slow it down. And I have said last week that Fire and Ice have gotten better at that slower 2-2 defensive style play on some of these maps, and just kind of working their time. And I think Toti is a big part of that. But on maps like Vasgar, where you're almost forced to fight to kick this map off, you're forced to have to be aggressive in some form or fashion. If not, you're going to give up overlook. You're going to give up the power weapon. You're going to give up the 2-to-1 hill setup. And to have to break somebody's 2-to-1 on a map like Trading Grounds is difficult. So you have to be aggressive off the start. And VQ know exactly what they're going to get out of this F&I team. But we need to see this Fire and Ice roster show us a different dimension, because a different dimension to their gameplay. Because if they show us the same one that we've been seeing, I think VQ can easily counter it.
We'll definitely find out. The match is underway once again. We'll reset back up. And again, the focal point has to be that M-bar, which is also sitting on the neutral hill, because we are in the second half. Now, one thing that was taking place before we ended up going for the restart was Dyslexic going on the flank, but it looks as if VQ is going to leave a member behind to react for that. But man, they don't need them. Xploids off the start. The player you were highlighting earlier being that great support player, setting up the team for success. Starts off strong with 2, but Hndles looking to open up a door for VQ by himself. He's going to take down one player, but Xploids gets the M-bar, and Hndles is still alive. If he can take down Xploids here, that's a huge win, but he can't. But Xploids still in a tough spot. Vital Sound's going to be on the other side. Fire and Ice has this hill locked in, but for how long? The shock is gone. Xploids gets away, and Fire and Ice, they are in control right now.
Does he look like a support player to you? Okay, because not at all, right? Not at all, okay? Hell, Xploids, man, these last few weeks have been getting it done for F&I, and we're watching a little montage from him currently in this map. Because off this initial, he has not died, but I do believe he has picked up about 3 or 4 kills since the start of this round. And this is coming off a stoppage too, so for Fire and Ice to carry this momentum over in round number 6 is super important, and Xploids is a big factor in that one, as it's going to be F&I leading at the 150 mark. They still got their setup locked in, and VQ, they got to slow this one down and come up with a perfect push to win this round.
But they have been coming up with that perfect push plays, and I know you can agree with that. They've been flipping the script, and that's my only worry. Fire and Ice is making the right call by staying put and not overcommitting, but it's been about this hold. This is going to be the most important hold in my opinion, because VQ, if they lose this fight off of this push, then they're going to be forced to make a desperation play, and Fire and Ice should be able to counter that with relative ease. But they have to stop this engagement. It's going to be tough to push through that one choke point.
Oh, no.
Xploids is weak, and they know they're pushing in, and this could be deadly. Xploids needs to maintain his life, but he drops off, and VQ is getting the break. Someone goes for the OE, but this is what I'm worried about, Blaze. VQ always finds a way in the later portions of these rounds to take control.
Think about when we saw VQ had this setup before, and I was highlighting precision with his Lancer out from afar, waiting for the push. That time, Xploids had his pistol out, and he was in shotgun range. And he took enough damage, and he gave VQ an opportunity to make a play on him. He has to play his life a little bit better on both occasions, but it seems like when he's dealing with Acells, it doesn't matter what he does because VQ always finds a way to win the round. Big kills there coming out of VQ. That was a massive retake. And Xploids may have had a start to a great round, but it was his fault for his team losing that round.
That's fair. No, 100%. He took way too much damage. And you ought to know VQ's like, hey, man, I've got him weak. We have to push this. This is a big advantage. And they took it. That's the thing, man. Fire and Ice finds themselves with strong initials, strong starts, but I never feel confident they're going to close out the round, at least in this series, because VQ has always found a way to keep them at bay. You even go back a couple of rounds when they kept them at 249. Like, that's the thing about VQ is they're so good at the late game adjustments, and Fire and Ice are just... At first, it was Dyslexic, right? You remember him getting Lancer down when he had the M-bar? That was a big play. And then, of course, in the last round, Xploids. It's just these members are just falling to the wayside. But I don't know. VQ, they're still in it. They managed to win 3 straight rounds like they did on District. But can Fire and Ice close it out like they did on District? We'll find out. Precision, though, gets a big pickup on Xploids to start us off.
Dyslexic will not be allowed to get out. He will not get doubled down, but they know the damage is there. I think Vital takes charge. He's going to get some shots over the top. They know that they got Toti weak. They have to respect the player on the left, but he goes for a flank at D. And the D hill will get capitalized, but I love the rotation now to Dyslexic to kind of fortify with Fearzly and have 2 members on their opponent's side of the map. And that gives them a higher chance at locking in his home hill setup. So they might not win the battle at E, but do they win the initial is my question.
Definitely figure that out. Fire and Ice once again has it, but this is so hard to maintain. We've seen it time in and time out. Teams will try and stick the enemy's home hill and just to no success. And we will see those 2 players back off, but Fire and Ice got what they wanted. They knew they lost that neutral fight, so they wanted to try and just get as much of a lead as they possibly can. But now they're looking at a potential domination, and it is imperative Toti clutches up, and he does not. Now player 8 is forced to try and get a touch. VQ is looking at a 4-3 lead very shortly. No, he doesn't get the touch, and VQ 4 in a row puts them at map point, series point.
Looked like he was all up in that hill to me, but just a split second there on that roll before he can get in there, the round is won. So I was asking myself, who wins the initial right there? Is it F&I? Because they held the home hill down very, very well, and they managed to dodge a few shots from Acells in the M-bar, but ultimately Acells hit enough shots with the M-bar and with the early map control that they got at D. When the home hills became the focus, that became an easy overextension for VQ in that second team fight to quickly lock in that domination with their teammate, locking in a neutral with the power weapon. So it was a win for VQ. That initial win ultimately trickled into a round win. So that's 4 in a row for them. Sniper rifles down low in the center. It's gonna you're gonna have to put a player on this side of the map. So we're gonna have 2 1v1 lanes in a sense, and a 2v2 up top at E. Acells gets the M-bar. He goes down, but he gets a headshot off a revive up top.
That's huge.
That was
absolutely massive.
And they're gonna get the kill as well.
Oh my gosh, they are Fire and Ice is falling apart. Like, they're just falling apart. And Hndles also gets the long shot. This is the worst case scenario for F&I, and another great start for VQ. Dyslexic last up, and you better keep that head down because Acells is looking to pop it off for the 2nd time.
And Dyslexic got hit on the bottom of those stairs. Precision knows it, trying to navigate off his left hand, fighting Dyslexic, and that's a hard battle. He goes down, but this is where the members of Vanquish needs to disengage. Acells needs to play his life as long as he can till help can come. A player from the bottom portion of the map is going to shift over to get to him. He takes 1 to the grave, trying to get 2, but did he do enough? And yes, he did.
Oh my
what a
gosh.
beautiful setup there for Vital.
Oh, wow. I mean, you talk about getting ultimate value, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That was just phenomenal. And, well, VQ back in the driver's seat. Looks as if they were going to lose it for a second, but Fire and Ice is in a bad spot. Like, I don't need to tell you that. You can already see the scoreline as it currently is, but this push means pretty much everything. And if VQ can shut them down, which Vital Sun, by the way, is already connected on Dyslexic with the Ensign. But it looks like Fire and Ice will get the break. Layer 4 is going to be rotating out. There is going to be a new M-bar coming up relatively soon, you would have to think, but Fire and Ice has to do everything right. This 2-1 isn't going to be enough, and they cannot afford to allow people like Vital Sound to be a great disruptor like he's being.
The communication between him and Precision on this side of the map to get the down on Fearzly and to kind of just shake up this area was perfect, because he paved the way for his teammates to get over here. Now, it is going to be a member of Fire and Ice decapping a home hill of VQ if they can win a 1v1 battle. But as far as the 2v2 fight on the home hill of FNI, it will be won by VQ. They also win their 1v1 on top of the home hill. Now, with this being a home hill, they know that it's a never-ending battle, but they stay locked in. Vital goes down, but Precision's left standing. The E hill's getting decapped. D hill captured. It's the late game. VQ with 5 rounds in a row. They lock it in.
My. Fire and Ice, come on, man. 5 in a row. 5 in a row, hey. Shout out the VQ. Shout out the Blaze, who went against the grain. Catches up once again. Chat, we were wrong. We were wrong. Fire and Ice just couldn't do it. Man, hey, VQ, once again, I bet against you, and once again, I'm the loser. Tough break. Tough break. I know I'm going to hear it on Twitter. They do it every time.
Yeah, nah, you definitely are going to hear it today off that one. But hey, man, VQ showed a plethora of skills today of why they are the defending champion, rather than if it's teamwork, team fights, power weapon usage, battling from behind, whatever difficult situation FNI put them in today, VQ found a way to overcome. And that's what this squad is all about. That's why they are your defending champions. And they're starting to peak at the back end of the Pro League. So you can't count these guys out ever. And they prove to all of you guys why that is.
You're 100% right. 100%. Hey, and I knew I was going to get it. I was going to give it to you too, man. But I can't. I have no ground to stand on. For the first time, Blaze, I can say that I finally see a weak point in Fire and Ice, and that is their mid. Really, not their mid game is actually decent. It's their late game. It's closing out the rounds, and VQ just exposed that for what it is. And Fire and Ice has been looking unstoppable, and seriously, for the longest time, I thought they could do no wrong. But their late game, their ability to hold on and close out just wasn't there. And VQ exposed that, and they took advantage of it.
And it really bit them in a behind on map number 2 for Fire and Ice when they're leading this series. And you know, go back and you look at the stats past the 150 mark. They were leading there throughout Vasgar majority of the 9 rounds. But it was those late game fights that VQ was able to find the perfect play to be able to come out victorious. And that's where FNI has to try to stay the most composed and what they need to work on heading into this weekend.
All right. Well done, VQ. Seriously, like, honestly, well done, VQ. You look great. And, you know, it was great getting to watch VQ because I haven't had a chance to cast over Vanquish that many times for Split 2. You know, they were my top team, obviously, in Split 1 through and through, and especially because I had a chance to watch them come out of the Pro League qualifiers, and then they had that historic run throughout Pro League, and I was supporting them through and through. But because I haven't had a chance to put a spotlight on them throughout Split 2, I constantly bet against them because I just didn't know what they could truly bring, and they've suffered some big losses. However, this victory over an FNI just showed me that, like you said, they are the previous champs for a reason. And man, it's going to be hard to bet against them the next time they go into a series because they showed great composure, strong initials, strong mid game and late game at certain times. Well, the late game was unmatched from FNI. Clearly, that's what ended up getting them the victory. But their initials, despite them going back and forth with FNI, like that is something that is so difficult to do, but they were able to do it from time to time. So I will say, again, hats off to you, Vanquish. You played out of your mind, and you did so incredibly well. I'm impressed.